So we're going to take a look at some things here. And we told you the other day that before you can walk into the sevenfold blessings of Abraham, there are 5 levels of ancestral transferences or generational matters or generational curses or ancestral transmissions that God must remove from out of your life for you to begin to experience the sevenfold blessings of Abraham. The number one is that you need to begin to remove inherited curses, because curses as sickness and cancer, these are not the will of God for your life. This is not the plan of God for your life. It may be untimely deaths. It may be that the men never succeed in life. It may be that the divorce runs rampant in the family. It may be barrenness. It may be ovarian cancer. It may be prostate cancer. It may be colon cancer. It may be heart disease, heart attacks, diabetes, foot problems. Nobody ever owns anything. Nobody ever achieves anything in life. It may be depression, oppression, suppression. It may be suicide. It may be curses that can run through. Inherited curses can also be incest, molestation, rape, drug problems, alcohol problems, never owning anything in life. These are what we call inherited curses, and they can be transferred. Why? Because they run through your bloodline. So God is telling Abram, I need you to get out of your country because your country is producing something that I do not need to be in your life. Get out of your country, get from around your kinfolks, and get out of your father's house. So we have inherited curses. Before God gets ready to bless you, he must deal with inherited curses. Curses that were not pronounced against you, but which are working against your life are inherited. Mother has breast cancer. Daughter has breast cancer. It travels. I know someone, the father had something with the thyroid of the cancer, and the son got it at the same age that the father had it. The father died, but the son didn't die because he had a little bit more knowledge. He knew that something wasn't right, and he went to the doctor and told him that he had some cancer around the thyroid area. This is not common. This is inherited, beloved. This is inherited. Why? Because it runs through the bloodline. And when your mama and your father came together, when your father released his seed in your mother, why? Because within the blood. So this is a blood issue. Within the blood is the memory. That's why you have membranes. You have membranes. Membranes are memories that run through your bloodline, that runs through your family. So in your membranes are the memories, are the members of your ancestors. You have cells. You have atoms. And cells always transfer information to the next cell before it dies off. So when your father released his seed in your mother, within that blood was also water, was also memories, cells, and different things. And so the seed went into your mother, and the seed was consumed by the egg. So it mixed your blood with your father's blood with your mother's blood. And guess what? You are now born out of that in water, and you are developed in that in water. And guess what? You are now fed through your mother's umbilical cord. So everything that she has experienced, whatever she's going through, whatever's going through her bloodline, through her family line, is being fed through you and to you through the umbilical cord, but also what your mother feels, what your mother thinks. Mindsets. So they're transferable. So before God begins to cause you to come into the sevenfold blessings of Abraham, he must begin to deal with inherited curses. The next step is he needs to begin to deal with inherited evil covenants, because there are covenants that are made. Covenants that are made evil. Covenants. There could be covenants. There could be blood covenants. There could be idol worshiping. You don't know everything that your friends, what your grandparents did 50 years ago, 100 years ago. There could be covenants that was made for success. Covenants made so that so that the family could prosper. Things that could have been done. And we looked at also how even when Abram lied that Sarah was not his wife, that was a covenant that was made. And then Isaac lies that when Rebekah was not his wife. And then it transferred down later on that Jacob lies also to his father with his mother Rebekah that he was Esau, but he was really Jacob. And then also, and so these covenants, these things that is running through the bloodline, you don't know everything what your forefathers done. because there could be adultery, there could be fornication, there could be all kinds of sins, all kinds of things that you have no clue of, but it's running through your bloodline, and sometimes it lives in you waiting for a particular day. See, so these are seeds. Why? Because seeds are pre-programmed. Every seed, every word is its own self-fulfilling prophecy, and so some things will show up in our lives because they are pre-programmed. You're doing fine. You're healthy. Something shows up in your body. You go, oh, I feel this love. All of a sudden, well, my mother got breast cancer at 21, and guess what? It showed up in my life at 21 because it is pre-programmed. It is its own self-fulfilling prophecy. And you don't know the seeds that were sown by your grandparents. And guess what? Because they've sown evil seeds, guess what? They will sprout and take root in your life, and you now begin to give birth to something in your life that you have no clue of. Saved, born again. But because you don't have knowledge, and because there's ignorance, it can affect your life. And so God needs to begin to deal with. Number 2 is inherited covenants. And covenants are powerful agreements sealed by a supernatural power. Evil covenants are enforced and monitored by forces of darkness. There are some spirits that won't allow you to prosper. Oh, if they did it to Daniel, they'll do it for you. Daniel's prayer's already answered. But there were satanic agents in the heavenlies, the second heavens, that was holding back Daniel's blessings until he continued to pray. Some of you got to keep on praying and keep on praying and keep on praying and allow God to break things. Because if you don't break them, they're going to visit your children and your children's children. And so because Abram did not deal with the liar that was in him, he lied twice to Pharaoh and then King Abimelech. Guess what? Isaac lies that Rebekah is not his wife. Jacob lies, and because Jacob lies, he gets lied on too, and he goes visit a man by the name of Laman, and Laman lies and deceives him because he is a deceiver. He too is a trickster. He too is a con artist, and so the con artist got to be conned by somebody else. You can paint lies, but it's going to show up in the canvas of your life. And so Laman lies and tricks him that Rachel is Leah, that Leah is Rachel, but it's not true. He worked 7 years for Rachel, but he was tricked by a veil, thinking that it was Rachel, but it was really Leah. Now he's tricked again because he's a trickster. Because a trickster, by nature, must be tricked. Whichever man soweth, that shall he also reap. Some of you are reaping things that you have no clue of it because of what your forefathers have done. But tonight we break that in the mighty name of Jesus Christ. And ignorance doesn't give you doesn't excuse you. So you must have ignorance. And the word ignorance simply means to ignore. Ignore something. I'm ignoring knowledge. I refuse to look at my bloodline. I refuse to look at the tree of my bloodline. And so we see, beloved, he lies to him and it goes down through the bloodline. Notice that Jacob and his mama takes an animal, they shed blood, which now becomes an evil covenant. Because when you're dealing with covenants, it always is blood. It has to do with a covenant. So he performed an evil covenant, him and his mama. They lied on the daddy. He stole his brother's birthright to get his blessings. But now guess what? It shows back up later on in his life as well. So these lies that run through the bloodline. So inherited covenants. And then the third thing that God needs to begin to deal with is inherited evil carryovers, things that carry over from one family to the next family because it has not been dealt with. David had to deal with the carryover. Why? Because there was famine in the land year after year after year. And he inquired, God, why is this thing showing up? Why is this thing showing up? David, this has to do with Saul, what he did. Because of the evil in those who he slayed innocent blood. But I didn't do it, God. I know, but you took on the throne. So his evil sins become your evil sins, and his judgment now becomes your judgment. You must guard your land, which is yourself. You must guard your earth. You must guard and protect your destiny, beloved. It's too vital. So we have here evil carryovers. A carryover is an unfinished assignment. From Lamentations 5, it says that our fathers are gone, meaning they're dead. But we, the children, now bear their iniquity. They're gone, they're dead. They're not here to reap what they've done. But because you are the seed of them, you must now carry and fulfill what they didn't do. You now carry out this unfinished assignment. Number 4, we look at inherited evil burdens. And then number 5 of these 5 things that God needs to begin to deal with is inherited evil yokes. So after God deals with these 5 areas, he's got to deal with these 3 levels of bondage as we talked about. God told Abraham to get away from 3 areas, 3 bondages. Number 1, his country. Number 2, his kindred. And number 3, the people of his father's household. What God did for him at this level is called deliverance from national bondage. And the national bondage was his country. The other bondage was the bondage of the people that he was around. Because the people that you are around will determine what shows up in your life. Show me your friends, I can tell you your future. Show me your friends, I can reveal your destiny to you. Because whom you hang around will hang on to you, and you'll become like them. And then he had to deal with his father's household, because he came out of that house. So God has to deal with these 3 levels. So we see, as we're looking at some things, it's going to get deep tonight here, folks. It's going to get real deep up in here tonight. But some of y'all are in for some major miracles and some major breakthroughs. And God's going to do some blessings in your life. I would leave this line tonight because I got to take you to your 7 steps. So we see there are certain people whom God specifically used for outstanding purposes. They're called, occupied a significant place in the program of God. There are men and women whom are called into specific assignments and deep relationships and a deep fellowship with God, such that they become a pattern for many generations to come. We see that in the life of Abram. There are some people who are forerunners for God's news, movers and bearers of God's newest revelation to his people. Abraham was not just a man of faith. He was a symbol of faith and faithfulness to every believer in Christ, beloved. Nobody before Abraham ever had his kind of faith in the way that God called him into fellowship and obedience. His story came after the flood. Since there was no written record of the faith of his predecessors like Noah and Enoch and others, he stood in an isolated world of life of faith. Abraham started a career and faithful relationship with God without a reference or materials about the men that lived before him. God called him and he just obeyed.